Dateline Wednesday, February 10th, 1999. Tonight, what caused this minivan to suddenly accelerate, killing his wife and their young son?
I looked over, and Nathan's stroller was right in the path of the van.
Did the driver hit the gas instead of the brake?
She had to have her foot on the brake. I see the brake lights, you know.
Or is there something about the design of these vehicles that could turn them into unpredictable, high-speed, lethal weapons?
Have you tested this on a real car?
Yes.
Tonight, new information on the mysterious problem of runaway cars. A new theory about how a popular option may have caused some cars to suddenly accelerate and drive off on their own.
That's one wire, and this is another wire.
Dateline has uncovered things you've never heard before. Information not even the experts knew.
Do you still believe that pedal error accounts for all of these cases?
Stone Phillips with a Dateline investigation. From Studio 3B in New York, here is Stone Phillips.
Good evening. Tonight, new questions about a mystery that's plagued drivers and automakers for years. Runaway cars. Cars that seem to take off on their own. Sudden acceleration first grabbed the headlines in the 80s. The federal government investigated a variety of mechanical and electrical causes, but came to the conclusion the most likely explanation was human error. Drivers mistakenly hitting the gas instead of the brake. Well, now, a new theory about what can cause sudden acceleration and a judge's blistering criticism of one car maker may force another look at an issue that hasn't gone away and at accidents that have not been forgotten.
On June 10th was our church picnic, which was to be a kickoff for Bible school, which is to start the next day.
Pastor Jeff Batet and his wife were looking forward to taking their little boy Nathan to the picnic that Sunday afternoon in 1990.
Go, Nathan, go.
As people gathered at the local park in Nokomis, Illinois, a member of their church hopped into this Ford Aerostar van to run an errand. No one could have imagined what was about to happen.
I just looked up and I heard this engine roar.
It had a scream noise to it, like it was going out of control.
James Aller says it suddenly lurched forward. The runaway van crashed through a concrete bench, through picnic tables and wooden pillars, heading straight for his wife Evelyn, a Sunday school teacher and mother of 10. And next to her, asleep in his stroller, Nathan Patet.
Couldn't believe what I seen. And the little boy was laying in a stroller this way.
The front of the van had crushed and killed the baby and the teacher. But there was something about the accident no one could understand. The woman driving the van said, under oath, her foot was on the brake, not the accelerator. And there were 4 witnesses who confirmed it, including Evelyn Aller's daughter.
She had to have her foot on the brake. I see the brake lights.
If the driver was hitting the brakes, why did the van take off in the first place? And why didn't it stop? When investigators from Ford and the federal government examined the van, they couldn't find any defects. So in spite of the brake light witnesses, Ford concluded the driver must have made a tragic mistake, slamming the accelerator to the floor instead of the brake. And a jury agreed. It echoed the findings of this 1989 government report. Experts reviewed thousands of accidents involving all kinds of cars, not just Fords. Their conclusion? Pedal misapplication by the driver was the most likely cause, that it was virtually impossible for electrical failures to cause sudden acceleration. And that seemed to close the book on sudden acceleration. For years, car companies pointed to the government report and won nearly every lawsuit against them. But lately, there have been a few bumps on the road to blaming drivers. Although the automakers still deny it, juries in 3 different states have ruled that defects in cars were to blame in cases against Audi, Nissan, and General Motors. And as you'll see in the most recent and controversial ruling of all, a judge in Ohio says the Ford Motor Company may have covered up one possible cause of sudden acceleration for nearly a decade. Tonight, a new look at sudden acceleration. Dateline has discovered things you've never heard before.
All of a sudden it took off.
Highly trained drivers, even Secret Service agents, who swear they did not hit the wrong pedal.
The two wires.
A veteran Ford mechanic who thinks he found a clue to the cause. And internal Ford memos describing wiring problems that could trigger a car to take off on its own. First, a few things you should know. We're talking about a design in some older Fords up until 1995, not the new models in showrooms today. You should be aware that by any measure, sudden accelerations are extremely rare. In recent years, complaints have been falling. Finally, almost everyone agrees some people do hit the wrong pedal. The question is, does everyone? Did this man hit the wrong pedal? After the Reverend Leon Manigault led a Pentecostal church service like this one in Cleveland, his family says his car suddenly sped out of the church parking lot.
My father said the car had just shot off.
Manigault's son John says his father's foot had to be on the brake because he chased the car down the street watching the brake lights flash until his father turned off the key and killed the engine.
He said that's the only way that car stopped.
These repair records show the family complained to a local dealer that the car accelerates by itself. And a few months later, they say it happened again with tragic consequences.
Taking your shoes off.
Today, the Reverend Manigault is in a coma after the same Ford Crown Victoria roared out of his driveway and into the back of a house. He suffered massive head injuries. His family sued Ford in a case that challenges the carmaker's claim that drivers are to blame.
So mysteriously, we have all these people who are slamming down the throttle pedals, but I can't buy it. Is this correct?
Sam Sero is an electrical engineer hired by the Manigault's lawyers to investigate the crash. And he developed a new theory, how the cruise control can cause some cars to take off without anyone hitting the gas. For years, investigators didn't think cruise controls could be much of a factor in sudden acceleration, in part because they thought the system didn't get any power until you got up to speed and turned it on.
This is a connector that...
But when Sero investigated, he found that in tens of millions of Ford-built cars and trucks, some but not all models from the mid-'80s all the way up to 1995, the cruise control is getting power as soon as you turn on the engine, even if you've never touched the cruise control button.
Has instant vehicle power.
Even if the switch is off up on the steering wheel.
Even if the switch is off, yes.
Sero says that's asking for trouble, because with the power always on, a rare combination of two specific wiring problems, shorts, happening simultaneously, can activate the cruise and send the engine to wide open throttle, full power, even from a dead stop.
This thing can, without you wanting